the traditional day in the United States when a groundhog is set to predict whether or not there'll be an early spring, something obviously many of us would welcome. I've been speaking to psychologist and wellbeing consultant Lee Chambers, who explained how we're coping.
With a lot of the anchors taken away that help us to define, the structure in our weeks, a lot of people are furloughed. Obviously, schools are not open for the majority of people, and those activities and hobbies that we really anchor us into. Okay, so we do this on a Tuesday night, so this is what happens on a Thursday morning. Those have been taken away, and obviously in this third lockdown, what that's created is almost this repetitive cycle of waking up and being like, what day is it? Well, every day is the same anyway. And what that kind of does is, psychologically, not having those anchor points during the week, it does start to make it feel like it's all merging into one.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? And, many times we've had the conversation, what did you do at the weekend? Well, I went for a walk, like every other day, they do all blend.
Yeah, so, because we have lost some of the decisions and choices that we could make, some of our freedoms and access to quite a lot of the things that we do on an entertainment basis that are outside of the home, what's kind of happened is that lack of variety means that people are feeling like they actually are defaulting to things that they can do, and because there's less of those things overall, it does actually feel less distinctive. So it actually does feel like, okay, so what did you do last week on a Wednesday? I can pretty much tell you, because there's only a few things that I can do. I ended up watching this on Netflix, for example. But when there's a lot of different things, you normally have, a choice of restaurants to go to, a choice of entertainment activities. And because we're not moving between those different atmospheres either, because a lot of the stuff we're doing is within our domestic environment, it doesn't have that variety, and therefore makes us not really have that separation between things, which makes things feel very similar.
Yeah, and a lot of young people particularly, I think, are spending a lot of time not going out the house at all.
Yeah, so again, with the amount of entertainment devices we now have at home, and the fact that at school you generally have to be connected to technology, doesn't really allow for as much outside access. And obviously at the moment, with the kind of winter weather, it feels like another challenge to embrace, to go outside. But actually, it's actually quite powerful to get out and, get your senses ignited in the icy wind and feeling your feet hit the ground. And obviously with the snow that's come today in a lot of parts of the UK, that's actually a great chance to just get out and do something a bit different, because the novelty of the snow is really powerful.
What else would you encourage people to do to break up the tedious nature of lockdown?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things is to really start to plan in things you can do now. And when you can start to plan things, and you can actually then start to plan different things and see how you can mix things up. And because we feel like we've lost a lot of control, really taking that back and saying, okay, so I'm going to make some plans and see what different things I can do. And it helps us to see what we can do rather than what we can't. But that planning also makes us feel a bit more in control of our lives, which gives us more boundaries and separation, which makes it feel less monotonous. And I also definitely suggest that really starting to think about the opportunities that we do have going forward and make some flexible plans for the future. So maybe start to look at what you're going to do in the summer. And it'd be nice to book a holiday abroad possibly, but we need to be flexible in those plans and think, okay, so we could plan to go abroad, but we need to make a plan B to have a holiday in this country, and maybe even a plan C to have a holiday in our back garden or somewhere local, because we don't know where it's going to be at. By making those plans, it starts to give us some excitement and anticipation for the future, even though it is a little bit uncertain.
The psychologist and wellbeing consultant Lee Chambers.